My name is Chris Parker, and if you had told me 6 months ago that my marriage to Anna was heading toward disaster, I wouldn't have believed you. We'd been married for 8 years, and while life wasn't perfect, it felt solid. Anna was my partner, my confidant, the person who could finish my sentences. Or so I thought. It started with something small, her taste in music. Anna had always been a fan of country music and pop hits. It was our thing. Long drives with her playlists of Taylor Swift, Maren Morris, and the occasional upbeat Katy Perry track. But then, almost overnight, her playlists changed. Suddenly, it was all indie rock and obscure bands I'd never heard of. Artists with names like The Midnight Parade and Echo Vale. The music was moody, atmospheric, and completely out of character for her. At first, I didn't think much of it. People's tastes evolve, right? But it wasn't just the music. It was how defensive she became about it. One evening, as we were driving to dinner, I joked, "You're really into this moody stuff lately. What happened to the country queen I married?" Her reaction was instant. "Why does it matter what I listen to? Do you have a problem with me liking new things?" Her tone was sharper than I expected, and it caught me off guard. "No, of course not," I said, trying to laugh it off. "I just thought it was different for you." She crossed her arms and stared out the window. Maybe I needed something different. Her words hung in the air like a storm cloud. That night, I couldn't shake the conversation. The shift in her music taste felt symbolic of something deeper. It wasn't just music. It was her attitude, her distance, the way she seemed more absorbed in her phone than our conversations. As I lay awake in bed, listening to the faint sound of her music playing through her headphones, a thought crept into my mind. What if this isn't just about music? The more I thought about Anna's sudden shift in music, the more it bothered me. It wasn't just a change in taste. It felt like a door had quietly closed between us. I decided to dig a little deeper, even if part of me felt guilty for snooping. The opportunity came one Saturday afternoon while Anna was out running errands. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed her laptop on the kitchen table. It was open but locked. I remembered her password, an old one she hadn't changed in years. My hands trembled as I typed it in, half expecting it not to work. But it did. Her Spotify account was open, and the first thing I noticed was a playlist titled, "For Us." My stomach turned. Clicking on it, I saw a collection of songs I didn't recognize. Indie rock, mellow electronic beats, and a few romantic ballads. But what really caught my eye were the playlist's details. It had been shared with someone named Liam Andrews. Liam. I didn't know a Liam. The name felt foreign, intrusive, like a crack in the foundation of my life. I clicked on the message icon within the app and saw their conversation history. Most of it was innocent on the surface, song recommendations, comments about lyrics, but there was an undercurrent I couldn't ignore. "This song makes me think of you. Our weekend was perfect. Can't wait to do it again." My chest tightened. I scrolled further, my heart sinking with every message. It wasn't just music they were sharing. It was intimacy, secrets, moments that should have been mine. That evening, I tried to act normal. Anna came home, her usual bright energy masking whatever she was hiding. "How was your day?" she asked, kissing me on the cheek. I forced a smile. "Uneventful. How about yours?" "Oh, the usual errands," she said, heading to the kitchen to put away groceries. Her nonchalance made my blood boil. I wanted to confront her then and there, but I held back. I needed more. That night, while she slept, I checked her phone. It was locked with a new passcode, one I didn't know. That was all the confirmation I needed. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. Liam's name replayed in my mind like a broken record, his messages echoing with a smugness that made my skin crawl. I needed answers, and I couldn't wait any longer. That evening, after dinner, I decided to confront Anna. She was scrolling through her phone, the glow of the screen lighting up her face. "Who's Liam?" I asked, keeping my voice calm but firm. Her head snapped up, her expression a mix of surprise and alarm. "What?" she said, feigning confusion. I repeated myself, slower this time. "Liam. Who is he?" She laughed nervously, setting her phone down. "I don't know what you're talking about." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, opening the screenshots I'd taken of their Spotify messages. I slid it across the table to her. "Don't lie to me, Anna. I know everything." Her face went pale, her usual confidence cracking. "You went through my messages?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and panic. "Don't turn this on me," I said, my voice rising. "You've been sneaking around. Sharing songs? Sharing weekends? What else have you been sharing?" She sat back in her chair, crossing her arms defensively. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice sharp. "Liam is just a friend." I laughed bitterly. "A friend? Friends don't send each other messages about perfect weekends or make playlists called For Us." She glared at me, her tone shifting to anger. "You're blowing this out of proportion, Chris. It's not like I slept with him." Her words hit me like a slap. The way she framed it, as if everything was fine because they hadn't crossed that line yet, only made me angrier. "You might as well have," I said, my voice breaking. "You've been emotionally cheating on me for months, lying to me, hiding this from me." She stood up, her fists clenched. "Maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed someone to talk to." Her attempt to shift the blame was the final straw. "You're unbelievable," I said, shaking my head. "You made this choice, Anna, not me. And now you're going to deal with the consequences." She stared at me, her anger fading into something colder. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. Instead, I walked out of the room, leaving her to stew in the mess she had created. After our confrontation, the house felt colder. Anna and I barely spoke, and when we did, it was tense, clipped, and filled with unspoken resentment. She tried to carry on like nothing had happened, but the weight of what I knew hung over us like a storm cloud. The final blow came a few days later. I did some more digging, this time through our shared email account, which she rarely used but hadn't thought to clear. That's when I found it. A hotel receipt. The dates lined up with one of her work conferences. It wasn't even a fancy hotel, just a nondescript one an hour away. The billing details included Liam's name. My chest tightened as I stared at the screen. All her excuses about it being just emotional were lies. This wasn't just a playlist or a flirty message. She had been with him. That evening, while she was cooking dinner, I printed out the receipt and laid it on the counter. "Explain this," I said, my voice calm but laced with ice. Anna froze, her back to me. Slowly, she turned around, her face pale. When her eyes landed on the paper, her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. "Nothing to say?" I pressed, my anger rising. "What was it, Anna? Another conversation? Another friend thing?" She leaned against the counter, burying her face in her hands. "Chris, spare me," I snapped. "You lied to my face. You told me it wasn't physical. You made me feel crazy for even questioning you. And now this." Her silence was deafening. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "It was a mistake." I laughed bitterly. "A mistake? A mistake is spilling coffee or forgetting an appointment. This was a choice, Anna. Over and over again." She stepped closer, her hands outstretched as if to comfort me. "Chris, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I backed away, shaking my head. "Don't touch me. Don't insult me with your apologies. You didn't mean for it to go this far, but you sure as hell made every decision to get there." That night, I slept in the guest room. I couldn't look at her, couldn't be near her. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was her betrayal, the lies, the messages, the receipts. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I made my decision. I wasn't going to let Anna's betrayal define me or control my life. If she thought I'd quietly let this go, she was sorely mistaken. I started by calling a divorce attorney. I gathered every piece of evidence I had, the Spotify messages, the hotel receipt, the screenshots of their conversations. My attorney assured me I had a solid case, especially since Anna's infidelity wasn't just emotional but physical. That evening, I told Anna my plan. "I've spoken to a lawyer," I said flatly, watching her reaction carefully. Her face went pale. Chris, no. We can fix this. Please, don't throw everything away. I shook my head. I'm not throwing anything away, Anna. You already did that. I'm just cleaning up the mess you left behind. She started crying, but her tears didn't move me. They felt hollow, manipulative. It was a mistake, she repeated, as if saying it enough times would erase what she had done. Stop calling it a mistake, I snapped. You knew exactly what you were doing. You don't accidentally sleep with someone. You don't accidentally create playlists called For Us. You don't accidentally book hotel rooms. The act of revenge. I wasn't content to just end the marriage. I wanted Anna to face the full consequences of her actions. I reached out to Liam's wife. It didn't take much digging to find her on social media, and a simple message was enough to start the conversation. I sent her the evidence. The hotel receipt, the messages, even photos of their shared playlists. Her response was swift and devastating. Thank you for telling me. I had no idea. He's out of our house tonight. Knowing Liam would face the fallout of his actions brought me a sense of justice. He had played a part in destroying my marriage, and now his own relationship was crumbling too. The fallout. The divorce process was messy as expected. Anna tried to argue for the house, but with the evidence I had, the court ruled in my favor. She moved out, taking only what she had brought into the marriage. The house, once filled with memories of love and laughter, now felt hollow, but it was mine, and I vowed to rebuild it into a place of peace and stability. Anna's reputation took a hit as the truth came out. Mutual friends distanced themselves from her, and even her family struggled to reconcile her actions with the woman they thought they knew. Moving forward, in the months that followed, I focused on healing. Therapy helped me process the betrayal, and reconnecting with old friends reminded me of who I was before Anna. Slowly but surely, I started to feel like myself again. As for Anna, she reached out once or twice asking for another chance. I never replied. I had already closed that chapter. What I learned. Looking back, Anna's betrayal taught me a painful but valuable lesson. Love isn't enough without trust, and no relationship can survive on lies. I learned to trust my instincts, to demand honesty, and to never settle for less than I deserve. To anyone going through something similar, my advice is simple. Face the truth, no matter how hard it is, and take control of your own story. You're worth more than someone else's betrayal. Conclusion. Anna's change in music taste was the first crack in a facade that couldn't hold forever. Her betrayal may have broken our marriage, but it didn't break me. I'm stronger now, and I'm ready to write a new chapter in my life. One filled with truth, trust, and freedom.